Today we're going to be talking about meditation and some beginner practices that you can do to start reconnecting back to your body and regulating the nervous system, because meditation is not just one thing. Across cultures throughout history, different traditions have formed around stillness, breath work, movement, and contemplation. Some meditation practices were for nervous system regulation. Definitely in the Hindu traditions, you have the mudras, which is very much hand yoga, and they believe that certain hand positions activated certain energy, mental, and physical aspects of the body because every finger is connected to an element. Some meditation was for focus and bringing awareness. Some was about going inward and reconnecting with the body, and others was simply to hear yourself clearly again and to begin to realize that you are not your thoughts and you are not your emotions and you are a soul, and to separate yourself from them, because then as you progressed, you were able to start using that to integrate visualization meditation in, which is feeling the experience in your body and seeing the vision before it happens to then manifest what you want and to bring that in. And then as you continually progress and advance, you then can go on, if you want, to Kundalini. But Kundalini is very much an advanced meditation practice. I will not be teaching that today because I do not recommend it for anybody who is just starting off with meditation, because you need to first become internally aware and you need to be integrating the trauma and the unconscious parts of you, because Kundalini can be dangerous if one just wants to try to bypass the grounding and they want to use, let's say, psychedelics to do it. It can actually hurt your psyche. And so we want to handle those things with caution. So to start off, one of the first beginner practices of meditation is breath meditation. We want to really focus on our breathing. And the main idea is using breath as an anchor for attention. And you see this with the Tao, with the yoga, with the Buddhist traditions. In the beginner is you're going to sit up straight. So we want our spines to be able to straight. We're going to put our shoulders back. And when we breathe in, we're going to breathe in for 4. And then we're going to exhale for 6. And when we breathe in, we want to feel that energy rise kind of to our throat right here. And then we are going to exhale. And you can breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then also, if you want to start visualizing more of the energy side to that, you'll want to have your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and you're going to want to breathe in. And from the bottom of your spinal cord, you're going to breathe the energy coming up. And then you're going to breathe out through your nose, but you're going to keep your tongue to the roof of your mouth so that way the energy can circulate all the way down. And so that way this energy starts circulating in your energy body, your biofield. Again, different cultures and different traditions taught it with different terminology. But we are going to repeat that slowly, and we're going to really just focus on becoming the rock on which the emotions break on. Okay, so we're going to really just focus on that energy in the body and really just breathing it in for 4 and exhaling for 6. And the point of this is for the nervous system, because longer exhales, they activate the parasympathetic state in the nervous system, which helps with regulation and bringing it back to a state of safety. Which then when things are in safety, that's when you can start actually healing belief systems and we can start cultivating a new identity. This does, it signals safety to the body and brings your body out of fight or flight mode, because breath is one of the fastest ways to communicate safety to the nervous system. Here we are not trying to stop our thoughts, because the more you try to stop something, the more they come. The point of this is to realize that you are not controlled by your thoughts. And so we really just want to focus on that breath of breathing it in, breathing it out. And this is where we start to learn to empty our minds and separate ourselves from our thoughts and our emotions and realize that we are not them, that they are simply tools and indicators of stuff going on in the unconscious aspects of our mind. And so the next practice is wall gazing. And we are going to sit up straight again, or you can lay down flat and stare at your ceiling if sitting up hurts your back. Let's say if you're older watching this. And the point of this is to get out of your head. Okay, so before we go inside of our minds, we want to get outside of our minds. And so you can stare at the wall. Wall gazing is one of them. I know as a child, I would often stare at the water. I didn't even realize what I was doing at the time, because as a kid, you just do stuff. And I look back and I was like, oh, wow, I was meditating, actually focusing my awareness back as a child. I'd watch the waves hit the shoreline or watch the ripples, but it's to get your focus and concentration to start building that. And so you can also do that with holding your hands like this, picturing the flame atop your fingers, or you can do flame gazing. So both techniques, the difference between, let's say, wall gazing and flame gazing is, while both gazing techniques do aim to quiet the mind and improve focus, candle gazing is more of an active, stimulating practice that uses a lit flame to build concentration and eye strength, where wall gazing is more of a passive, calming experience that eliminates distractions entirely to encourage deep inward reflection after you quiet your mind. So that is the difference. If you're going to choose between the two, some people they like using the flame, where the next person's like, you know what, I need to calm my mind first, and so I am going to choose wall gazing. And so you're going to sit staring silently at a wall, no distractions, no stimulation, just observation. And the purpose of this is to build stillness, increase awareness, confront mental noise, and train presence, because silence reveals what distractions hide. Okay, and as my mentor taught me, because sometimes it was really hard for me to sit there for 30 minutes. I was like, this is never ending. And the point of that is to just let it be that it may be. If it's uncomfortable, then it was uncomfortable. If it was enjoyable, then it was enjoyable. But you are the one who attaches the emotion and the meaning to that experience. But the experience is simply just is what it is, because most people are uncomfortable in stillness, because stillness exposes the unconscious. And even Carl Jung talked about that the unconscious arises when external stimulation is eliminated. The third one is a body scan meditation, and these ones are really fun. I like doing these ones. You can, again, sit up or lay down. I actually prefer laying down for this one, whether it's on a yoga mat or just on the floor or on a bed or even just outside in the grass. This is very much the mindfulness and the somatic practices. You are bringing awareness slowly into the body, and so you're going to lay flat, and this definitely helps with anxiety, dissociation, chronic tension, and nervous system regulation. And there's a few different ways to do this. You can focus at your toes, and you can start feeling every little atom vibrating. Like literally lay there and picture it and start feeling it vibrate in the feet, and feel all the atoms, all that energy just tingling, and it's slowly rising through your legs. And then just keep raising it, kind of like there's just this light going, scanning your whole body. And you're gonna picture it going all the way through, and you're gonna then picture your fingers and your arms and your shoulders all the way to the little tips of your ears, your tongue, your teeth. Picture the feelings in your body. And once you're in there, and once you're in that energy field, you're also then going to say, okay, what's tight? What's tension filled? Why is this tension filled? You're going to start checking in, because everything's made of consciousness. Everything's made of source. Everything comes from the creator. And so we want to start checking in, and we want to start speaking then maybe life to our body of, you know what, thank you, body, for holding me together. Thank you so much for being strong. You can relax now. We're going to start speaking love to our body with this meditation of, you can relax now. Relax jaw. Relax shoulders, relax forehead, relax stomach. And we're going to start relaxing our body into it. And we're just going to start relaxing and leaning into that energy field. We're going to be visualizing pulling in our energy, and find a spot on you. The Achilles heel is a Greek myth, but I like to pull it right into my gut, into the womb. That's where the feminine, that's where our energy is said to be stored, especially in Tai Chi traditions. And we are really going to be starting to reconnect ourselves with our bodies, because many people live trapped, disconnected from their body. Their attention is so out here, they're just hemorrhaging their energy, and they wonder why they wake up so tired. Because Saturn, when you are ruled by Saturn, and you're ruled by the time and the clock, you're living in fear of death. You're ruled by time, running out of time, and your loss of energy. So when we disconnect from that time schedule and just living in that kind of matrix cycle, we pull ourselves and our energy back into the present moment. And then we start actually feeling it, and we start allowing that chi to be restored in our bodies. Because healing often begins by learning to feel safe inside your own body again. So we want to reconnect with ourselves, and we want to start feeling safe. We want to start checking in on what's going on. Another way to do this also is when you're laying there, you can visualize a gold light slowly, like I said, kind of like the scanning, just rising over your body, and picture it just blotting out any disease or illness, just anything that's kind of crystallized, just healing, this healing ray coming through your body and just slowly rising up. And then when it goes all the way up to the top of your head, it's just going to come back to the center of your chest, and just picture a gold beam going all the way up to source. And it's just this connection of this just golden white light coming into you. There's actually also another tradition with that, if you're going to do a walking or even just sitting meditation practice, kind of prayer, in the Jewish tradition, they have 7 different hand ways to pray, and one of them is holding open their hands. And I found that very interesting a long time ago. I was like, why is that? I found that very intuitive, and I didn't really understand why until later on when I started studying more deeper their esoteric work. And that's because they were manipulating and playing with the energy fields. So they would hold open their hands like this, and they would visualize. And there's actually declassified CIA documents on this now. So it's real if the CIA has documents. I'm just saying, wink, wink. You're going to picture your hands open, and you're going to picture just this white light coming down from source, just new energy filling your body up. The next form of meditation is very much your mantra sound meditation. Okay, the main idea is repeating a word, a sound, or a phrase. You see this with the Hindus, you see it with the Buddhist tradition, you see it with the sacred chanting traditions. For example, Om, 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 and you're repeating it. Frequency, sound, bringing things back into harmony and alignment. You see it with the sacred names chanting. You see it with prayer repetition. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. You see it with repeated affirmations. You know, I am rich, I am successful. That's more of your rampages or your subliminals that people listen to. And you do see it with your mantras. I'll actually link down below one of my favorite mantras that I like listening to at times. And you have different cultures in their own practices that practice these things, because it anchors the attention, it calms the mental chatter, it creates rhythmic regulation, because rhythm regulates the nervous system. And what you repeat often becomes the living embodiment. As a man thinketh, so is he. So when you're just consciously focusing on it, and then you're bringing the emotion and the awareness into the body, you're creating that state of being for whatever it is that you're repeating, because sound has always been used to shift consciousness. The next one is moving meditations. You see this with Tai Chi, with yoga, with walking meditations. You see this even at like shrines, like Catholic shrines, you'll see sometimes like their prayer labyrinths. And that is also to bring the brain hemispheres back into order, because regulation is not always just through stillness. I think sometimes we hear a lot about being still, but also if you have, let's say, ADHD, or you have a neurodivergent brain, meditation and movement can also help to regulate the nervous system. Okay, that's how it can release anxiety. You know, tension happens in the hips. That's where we store trauma a lot of times. And so moving the hips, just swaying back and forth, releases things. And so the main idea is meditation through movement. And this is good also for people who struggle sitting still at first. Okay, because for some people, healing does begin through movement before stillness, and meditation is not always stillness. Sometimes it is presence in motion. So when you are walking on that walk, or you're walking on the meditation prayer labyrinth, you're just focused on a primal thought. You're focused on maybe saying a gratitude with every step you take, or you're just even focused on your hands, or just making sure that your body never stops moving. So there is some forms where they'll walk as slow as humanly possible, and they are just slowly moving their body, but they never stop the movement. And so it really brings that attention and awareness back into the body. And so the next one I want to talk about starts getting into more of, I would say, the more intermediate meditation. And that is very much learning to alter your energy, because we are spiritual beings. And so one of these that I like doing is I like starting off with, let's say, like sound bowl music, and bringing our cortisol levels down, bringing our energy back into our body, bringing our body back into a state of presence. And then also it helps your vagus nerve. And this really is where we're going to start visualizing our energy field coming back into the body. And we can start visualizing our aura field just expanding. And you can do this with your eyes closed or open. And I like to do this sometimes laying on my bed, visualizing my energy expanding to every crevice of my bedroom, and picturing it, all the cracks and crevices, and then pulling it back in. And I also like doing it on walks, and I like seeing how far I can spread it, because that helps to move the chi and the prana in our bodies. And it also helps to start develop our spiritual gifts and our psychic abilities. You know, you have your clairvoyance, your seeing, your hearing. And it's also worth knowing that the CIA also does have declassified documents on this as well. Find that very interesting. So this is where we are. We're going to start working on our energy field. And this is also where you can start using energy protection, because people can tap into your energy field if you are not conscious and aware. Let's say you're a people pleaser and you're an overgiver. You probably have a narcissistic relationship somewhat in your life of somebody that just drains your energy. And they do. They're like an energy vampire, and they take on that energy because you do not have the protective field, and you have not started to visualize that just golden energy field of a shield around your body, and that energy field around your mind. The next one is visualization meditation, which is also very much getting into more that manifestation culture, seeing the vision, feeling it in your body. I know Joe Dispenza talks about that a lot. Becoming Supernatural is an interesting book of his. And the idea of this is using imagination intentionally. And you see this with Carl Jung, you see it with the Tibetan traditions, you see it with sports psychology, again, with the more new age manifestation culture. And this is very much mental rehearsal, identity, nervous system acclimation, and holding the vision, because the nervous system responds to imagined experience. The brain does not differentiate from the imagined experience and the actual one. So when you are seeing something, you need to hold the vision, because your body not only reacts to reality as in out here, but it also reacts to the meaning that the mind assigns to that reality. So a part of feeling it and bringing it into the body is integrating that meditation. getting your body just into a state of awe and a state of gratitude and enjoyment for whatever it is that you want, as though you already have it. You know, Jesus said, believe ye have received and ye shall receive. By your faith, by your identity, be it unto you. A man is known by his identity. You know, these are talked about in the Gita. It's talked about in the Bible. These are real practices. These are the practices of the mystics who realize that they're not separate from God. They are not separate from source consciousness energy, and they very much can tap into that, and they can be at harmony in that and have that fulfillment of just peace and relieve themselves from mental suffering by becoming the master of their minds. You know, your mind is like a chariot and it must be used and harnessed. Your mind is very much like a garden that must be renewed. You must be pulling out the weeds. As Paul says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so meditation really starts to help us become consciously aware of what's happening up here and what's happening in here. Because ultimately, meditation is not about escaping yourself. It's about becoming aware of yourself. It's about becoming aware of the thoughts up here and the emotions in here, and then beginning to ask ourselves, why do I believe what I believe? You know, why do I believe I'm unworthy of XYZ? And then journaling whatever comes up without shame or guilt or condemnation, and just seeing what emotions also come up. And then also being aware that when the deflectors come up, I don't know, this is uncomfortable. And the noticing of when the nervous system wants to escape the moment and we want to just kind of go distract ourselves, to lean into that instead and actually be like, okay, well, let's feel this. Let's just let the emotions pass. I know they're discomfort and they're uncomfortable, but let's sit with that. Let's sit with the discomfort momentarily and let's actually lean into it. Why? Where does this come from? And then to send love back to that inner child, or to release that limiting belief, whatever it is that comes up. So that way we can start to just release the energy that is stored in our energy field, to release the limits that we have on our minds, to ultimately bring harmony and coherence into our different planes of existence of which we exist on.